And I want that YZ450 just to swerve. Scoot, scoot. We got the Justin Barcia on a stock bike. Oh my God, he just went and picked it up off the showroom floor, boys. Didn't change a thing on it. No. No. Okay, so this really sort of annoys me. This is something kind of pissed me off a little bit when certain, motocross news outlets and shit will come out and say, Justin Barcia on a stock bike. Justin Barcia is on a stock YZ450. Oh my God, you got to come check out our boring ass news outlet. Come check it out, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dog, okay, listen. You can get about 10 seconds into the actual Justin Barcia on a stock bike video on YouTube where he's actually talking about it. And he already says, hey man, I've got a completely, adjusted upon suspension. I've got a totally, modded out suspension to the bike. And we've even changed a lot, even with the stock engine itself, putting power in different areas and doing all this different kind of stuff. I guarantee you, that bike has got different triple clamps. It's got, Works triple clamps. It's got Works suspension. It's not a stock bike. That's my whole point. I don't know why these news outlets and shit are acting like it's a stock bike. It may have a stock Yamaha YZ450 engine in it that's been adjusted to the absolute maximum. It may have that, but it's not like a stock bike. You understand what I'm saying? It's like they're putting off this impression that, you could just go up to your local, Yamaha dealership and get exactly what Justin Barcia is pro racing on. Like, stop doing that. If you want to go in there and say, Justin Barcia has a bike with a stock Yamaha engine in it, then you can say that. But don't start coming in here saying Barcia's on a stock bike, because that's not. See how it's so weird how, like, first of all, Instagram's fake as shit, and like 99.9% of shit you see on there is fake. 99.9% of shit you see on the internet, period, is it's not that it's just full-blown fake, but it's like you're seeing these halfway false things. You know what I'm saying? So instead of them coming out saying, Barcia's on a stock engine YZ450, they'll just come out and say Justin Barcia's on a stock YZ450, right? You see how sort of misleading and weird that is? Because that's not really the case. And even in his, Barcia's video, he was like, we've been spending a lot of time putting the power to where it needs to be and all that kind of stuff. That's really all it is. And to some of you idiots out there that don't understand, for a decade now, the Works 450 engines have been making way too much power than any, normal human being can possibly bear. Like, it's been that way for a decade plus now in motocross with 450s. If you know anything about motocross, they've been able to make too much power for a long time now. So this is not really something new. It's not really like, oh shit, Justin Barcia wants less power than what they can make. It's not even like that. You know what I mean? All of them tone down the power, tweak the power, tune the power to less than what they could have it at. You know what I'm saying? So all of them in a roundabout nutshell way have their power tuned down and, make it more rideable. That's like the whole point of it, right? And Yamaha bike stock YZ2020 450s are known for having insane power right out of the jump anyways. They're known for that. There's only a select handful of people in the entire world that could probably ride like a newer stock YZ450 to its maximum potential truly, right? There's only a handful of people in the world that could even really do that. So, and that's what it comes down to. When you start talking about power of a bike, it's really all in where the power hits, the power curve, the adjustment of it. It's not so much about having a quote-unquote, like super modified Works engine that's not even a stock engine. It's not even really like that. It is, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's certainly not like a, oh my God, Barcia's on a full-blown stock bike like some of these news outlets are kind of painting it out to be. It's not like that. He's still got the full-blown Supercross, suspension. There ain't no telling what all else little trick parts other than the engine and the chassis. Yeah, that's stock Yamaha shit that he's running for one race. He may not even run it in 2020 Supercross. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. Just the way they made that sound, it's making kids think they can just run out here to their, local YZ450 dealership and get exactly what Barcia's riding on, and oh my God, look at how good Barcia's doing on a complete stock bike. And that's not the case, dude. They're able to tune that stock YZ450 way more than your average, random Joe at the track knows how to tune a bike, right? When Yamaha themselves is getting in there tuning their own stock bike, oh shit, they're going to basically be able to make a works power curve out of that anyways. You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, like, and that's such a big deal, is trying to make that power usable, right? You could have all the power in the world, but if you're spinning or it's too hard to ride, the bike kind of feels like it's riding you more than you're riding it, then it's literally pointless. You're not going faster. You know what I'm saying? You're not going faster on the track, and that was kind of a thing Barcia was saying. He was like, a 1A1, but it was in the mud where I had a lot of tire spin, and you can't get quite the traction and the speed, that you would get normally on a track, so it sort of cut down that power a little bit. And we all know Justin Barcia, like this big 250 legend, right? Won 2 Supercross titles, shit like that. But I don't know how much I believe all this shit, because let's just take a little trip down memory lane, right? Barcia goes from that Honda 250 straight to the Honda 450, right? And I guarantee you that Honda 450 wasn't this like stock Honda toned down 450 power, whatever the fuck. It was probably a full-blown works Honda 450 engine. Fire breather, you know what I'm saying? When Barcia first went to the 450 class, and he was winning 450 main events like 2 or 3 or 4. You would have thought that next year he could have been a full-blown title. He was almost a title contender in his first 450 season, right? So I don't know how much I believe all of this, like, we're just wanting to take it back to stock so it's more like a 250. I just don't know how much I don't know. I think there's just a lot more to it than what it might seem like from the naked eye. You know what I'm saying? It's more of tuning it like a linear power curve versus just hopping on more of a stock, less power bike and making it more like a 250. You know what I'm saying? It's not so much like that. It's more of just we're adjusting the bike a lot better to where I can ride it harder and ride it more like a 250 because we're making the power band more linear. You see what I'm saying? That's more like what I think it is versus just we have a way less power engine so then I can ride it harder. It's not really, it's more of adjusting the power curve than it is making less power out of it. You see what I'm saying? I feel like that's really what it is more than, well, we just have a, because if that was the case, hell, just put him on a, can't you race a 250 in the 450 class? Shit, you may not be able to do that. I don't know. But hell, if he wants a 250 that bad, race a 250 in the 450 class. You know what I mean? Like, that don't even make no sense. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's still a 450 engine. It's just more linear. And I promise you, if you hopped on Justin Barcia's 450, stock or whatever they claim it to be, it's going to feel like a fucking fire-breathing dragon to 99.9% of people in the world. It still will feel like that. I think what it was they were just producing too much horsepower out of the Yamaha anyways, because you take a stock Yamaha, which is already known for that, probably one of the best attributes of it is its fucking crazy power, right? Just insane power. And I noticed that on my YZ450 as well, but they're known, the YZs are known for the power right now as far as stock bike-wise. And so to then go in there and take that already really powerful bike and then even modify it more, make it even more powerful, it's like, what do you expect? That's kind of, but the biggest point of this whole video is just like, dogs, don't get this idea in your head that Justin Barcia's riding a stock YZ450. That's not what it is. Does he have stock exhaust? Does he have, stock triple clamps? Does he have stock suspension? I didn't hear anything about that stuff being stock, so it's not a stock bike. It may have a somewhat stock engine that's been adjusted, to the absolute hilt, But that doesn't mean he's riding a stock bike. I don't know why news outlets and shit, they do this all the time, where they will take something that's just a little bit interesting and then try to turn it into something that's like, oh my god, bro, holy shit, Barcia's on a completely stock bike, oh shit, I'm gonna go buy me a brand new YZ450 and I could be Justin Barcia. You know, it's like it's making this weird thing that's not really the truth. That's not really the truth. It's not really a stock bike. But whatever. I don't try to I'm not meaning to try to be this Debbie Downer negative. You know, that's not what I'm just saying. Don't sit there and think that that's like YZ450 right off the showroom floor stock bike, like what they're kind of making it seem to be, because that's not what it is. Barcia's not putting off that vibe, really. He told you straight up in the interview. He's like, dude, we still got the modified suspension. Well, you know, the only thing that's really stock is like the chassis and the engine, but we still went in there and, you know, really modified on the stock engine itself. You know they did. So it's not like you just hopped on a, you know, brand spanking new, full-blown, bone stock YZ450 and just went out there and started riding it. That's not the case. That's not what's going on there. You know what I mean? First of all, it'd be hard to ride on a supercross track with stock suspension anyways, because they make that to try to kind of work for everything. And you guys know a supercross suspension's way more stiff to be able to get over whoops and stuff like that. And it's just, I mean, I would say Yamahas in general are probably some of the closest to like what you could ride on a supercross track with from stock, but still yet, it's still nothing like what, you know, full-blown factory suspension is going to be like. It's nothing like that. And like I say, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't even be able to adjust a stock, quote-unquote, stock YZ450 engine to what Barcia has in his bike right now. You wouldn't even be able to get it to that point, to the linearness of it or the power curve of it. You wouldn't even be able to replicate that whatsoever. So even though it might be, quote-unquote, a stock engine, it's still not something you could get, really. You see what I'm saying? It's still not even like that, bro. But whatever, I hope it works for Barcia. Making it more rideable, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that they all fight that. Tomac fights that. All of them fight making the bike more rideable. That's something they've been doing for 10 years now. They've been able to make way too much power in the 450s for 10 years now, 10 plus years now. So that's been the name of the game forever. I don't really know why people are all of a sudden acting like, oh, shit, we got to make less power so it's more rideable. What? Like, yeah, that's the whole, like, trick to fucking racing. And I'm not sitting here acting like I know more about it than Barcia. I'm just saying it's like, what? What? I got just confused on this whole sort of situation. I don't know. I just feel like it kind of got blown up into more than what it should have been. It just kind of got turned into a big news headline when really it wasn't that big of a deal. Like what, dog? I don't know. Anytime they start talking about a pro rider being on anything even remotely stock, it's like everybody just loses their fucking shit all of a sudden. It's actually quite hilarious, but like I've always said, if you're just a normal ass rider, you might as well keep that bike stock, especially with the Yamahas nowadays. Like they're stock out the box ready to go. You don't have to like put suspension on the Suzuki or put an engine package on the Suzuki, or you don't really, the stock Yamahas for the past five or so years don't really need anything. It doesn't need anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's got more than enough power if you're riding that puppy to its maximum potential. Most people ain't even doing that, right? It's got a lot of power. I mean, you could always slap an exhaust on it or whatever, give it a little bit more, and then put some race fuel in it or whatever. But like to go in there and try to fully modify everything, it's kind of pointless on a new YZ. And even if you want to do that, go do the JYTR shit. It's a full blown in-house Yamaha factory. Everything's factory JYTR shit. If you want the more power side of it. Right? Like Yamaha has really made a cool system to where you don't even really need anything other than Yamaha JYTR shit. That's all you need, really. For 99.99% of the population, that's all you really need. Unless you're a full-blown factory rider in Supercross, then you might need a little bit better this or that, but The suspension's pretty solid on these bikes. Engine package pretty solid. It's all solid. Like, there's nothing to these bikes right now that are so negative that you just have to change it. It's not like that. So, I mean, I totally agree that Yamaha stocks are pretty fucking badass. They're solid right now, but I'm just saying the whole situation just kind of blown out of proportion. It's not really, Barcia's not really on a stock bike. You know what I'm saying? He's not really riding a stock YZ450. He's riding on a crazy modified, but with a somewhat stock engine YZ450. That's what it is. So either way, definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this whole situation. I don't know. It's just one of those little nitpicky things I've always had where news outlets will take something and they're tricking people is what they're doing. They're making you want to click on that video or click on that website link. They're doing they'll turn one little thing into way more than what it ever was. So it makes you click on it, right? It's like, I don't know. It just seems weird when they say stuff. Now, if they would have put Justin Barcia's riding with a stock engine, that would have been a little bit of a different situation. Because then I would have understood what they were saying a little bit more. But when they just go there and say stock bike, and the dude's got full-blown factory fucking suspension on it, and probably different triple clamps and different this and different exhaust and different that, it seems so stupid. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, what? You just duped me, dog. Like, what? I was hearing it from everybody, yo, Barcia's riding on a stock bike. And, I'm automatically thinking in my head, literally walking up to the showroom floor and getting one of those bikes and pro racing with it. I'm like, oh, shit, that's crazy, dude. And then come to find out it's not really like that at all. It's like, shit, dog. But either way, we'll see what Barcia can do next year. I think he'll do pretty well. But, yeah, he's always been a crazy, on the throttle rider. You've seen those videos of him actually blowing a clutch out in a half back in the days, right? So he's been known for that kind of rider, but he did pretty good on the Honda his first year. And it wasn't like that was some stock bike, stock engine. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe the Hondas back then didn't have quite as much power stock-wise, right? So them putting that little bit extra power on it wasn't as crazy as putting extra power on a new stock YZ450. Maybe that, you can kind of make a comparison like that maybe, but I'm just saying, Barcia was fucking awesome his first year on the 450, winning main events. He's running up there with Villa, Poto, and Stewart and all them. They're not even here anymore, and he was running with the top dogs back then. That first year, what was it, 13 or 14 his first year on the 450? Either way, I still think he should have just never got off of that Honda, and he would have got him a few championships. But it hurts them going to them different bikes, man. I'm telling you, when they grew up on a certain brand, going through winning 250 titles on a Honda, really coming through, and then having to go to the Yamaha, and then having success on the Honda in the 450 when he first got on it, then going to the Yamaha. It's just it's so bizarre. And then going to the Suzuki, and then going back to the Yamaha. That's just all over the place. The testing, the everything. You can go back and look at a lot of them. Jeremy Martin, very similar thing. Wins 250 outdoors on a Yamaha, then goes to Honda and does worse than he's ever done, basically. I mean, seriously. It's the same difference. A lot of times when these dudes start kind of gaining some ground and gaining some progression and doing really well on a certain brand, they'll all of a sudden go to another brand and just do absolutely terribly. Justin Hill, same thing. If he would have stayed on Kawasaki, I mean, shit, he could have been in Cianciarulo's place right now. Think about that shit. Now he's fighting for a ride, period. These dudes need to be really careful when they go to these other teams, because it's just such a different world to them, and the bikes are different, and the testing is different, and the testers are different, and the engine guys are different, and the team managers are different, and it's just so different, It's 9 times out of 10, it takes them a minute to figure it out. But then you'll get somebody like Webb that'll go to KTM and boom, win a Supercross title. So it's not foolproof what I'm saying, but I'm just saying I certainly think certain bikes fit certain people better than other people. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, the Honda might have fit Barcia way better. And, like, the Yamaha might have fit Webb on a 250, but it doesn't really fit him as good on a 450. See what I'm saying? The Yamaha might have fit, you know, Jeremy Martin on a 250, but the Honda doesn't fit him as good on a 250. I don't know. You know, it just all... that they really are all quite different in a lot of different ways. And that's just the way it is. I don't know. It's like some of them find the right bike and some of them don't, you know. Some of them are on the right bike, then they go to the wrong bike, you know. So it kind of just goes through that process. But either way, we'll see if old Barcia can pull him out some wins. But it's not like, it's not one of those things where it's like Barcia, oh my God, he needs stock engine. That's just a world of plenty. I mean, it's not even really like that. It is like that in the sense of like a stock 2020 YZ450, top power-wise is probably more than plenty. You know, it's just a matter of tuning it, like tuning the power band, how you tune it. That's what changes every little aspect of it. So yeah, the shell of it, it's probably a stock YZ, you know, 450 engine package deal, but down to the nitty-gritty and the tuning of it and the everything else about it, it probably is not like stock whatsoever. You see what I'm saying? So, makes it really different. But either way, I'll quit jabbering on. Appreciate you guys watching all these videos. Later, dudes.